Hello! Welcome back to Chewed Gum. It is May 27th, and we actually have a bunch of lines open. So if you'd like to call in, oh my god, there's a fly on my wall. If you'd like to call in with a question or an argument, you can call 720-619-2288. I'm Alyssa. I'm a sex and relationship coach, and we are joined by Skeptical Heretic. Hey, girl.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so happy you're here because I've watched you and Forrest. I'm trying to center myself and I'm doing a bad job. I've watched you and Forrest take calls before and you are sharp as a tack. So I hope that we get some good ones today where you can do your thing.
Me too. I'm super excited.
Yay. So as a reminder, super chats of $5 or more will be read at the end of the show. So make sure you get those in. And we have more people calling. This is exciting. Okay, so I actually was looking, I don't remember. I went to follow you on Instagram and you're ex-evangelical, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, last night, my dad is on a business trip. And so I was home with my mom. And when it's just me and her, we can watch whatever we want. So I realized she'd never seen the documentary Jesus Camp, which is now 20 years old. Have you seen that before?
No, I haven't. I have heard of it, but no, I've never seen. What is it on?
It might be on Amazon now, but it's about evangelical camps for children, like summer camps for children. And I was watching it and I was like, I wonder actually if this is what Promise experienced. And she knows several of the people in the actual documentary. And I was it was really interesting for me to watch because I grew up Roman Catholic, very garden variety, whatever. And to see that in action was a different experience. And part of me is also would you even want to watch it? Because it's you lived it to some degree, right?
Yeah, I think it would be so interesting to watch that, especially because I've heard people's, what's the word? I don't know, kind of take on how it psychologically impacts kids and how doing certain things at certain times and you know what I mean. And it's just, that would be I definitely am going to watch that because it doesn't surprise me there's a documentary about it at all, but I'm sure they have a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, it was like I don't even my mom who still is a practicing Christian, like she even goes to like Bible study, like she really does enjoy whatever. She enjoys her faith. She was watching it and she was like, "Alyssa." I was like, "I know. I know. I know." It was something else. So if you haven't for anyone else in the chat too who hasn't seen it yet, and you feel like you want to see a little bit of the crazy from the inside, that's a good way to do it cuz oh my goodness gracious. But yeah, it was bad vibes in that documentary. Bad vibes.
It's cool that your
Um,
mom was open to seeing the damaging parts, though.
she's really interesting in general because she, like, I think that there's a world where she's gonna like stray from being religious. I like,
Mm-hmm.
she's like so close, you know?
Yeah.
But I appreciate that she's also willing to, even while she still like does her Bible or like study group or whatever,
Yeah.
she's so willing to have open conversations and
Yeah.
like like she even
That's
watches
really
shows sometimes, yeah, and like she follows Promise on Instagram, which I'm like, that is brave because like
cool.
sh-
That's
she's
really
not
cool
mincing
that
any
she's
words.
doing all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's the best. It was a good time. Okay, so we have some calls. Are you ready to take calls?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's see what we got going on. Okay, so we have a lot that are like dating related so far. So this will be fun because, well, I hope that they're still fun for you because I still want you to chime in and give opinions, and your opinion will still be so appreciated
Okay.
and a great
It'll
contribution
be
anyway. It'll be fun. Okay, so I'm gonna pull in Brent. He's calling from Washington. Hi, Brent.
Hi, Alyssa.
How's it
How
going?
are you?
I'm
Going
good. How are
okay.
you?
Not bad.
Good. Good.
Normally I end up working during the time of the show, so I don't have. This has been my first chance to call in a long time, because I've got the
Wow.
week
Well,
off.
happy. Oh, that's so nice. I'm so jealous. That's lovely.
hmm
Um, what did you want to chat about today?
Well, I can't remember. It was quite a while ago. Somebody had called in about this guy was wondering if the person he was talking to was catfishing,
Oh, okay.
and you had asked somebody. You had asked if anybody had any experience with people who were catfishing, and
Mm-hmm.
I got involved in TikTok a couple of years ago, and I noticed these people would start following me for no reason, and they would be following a bunch of people, and they'd only be followed by a few people back, and I knew that they were up to something, so I was just curious, and I started I started talking with this one person, and immediately they basically tried to get a hookup going, and they wanted gas
Mm.
money to come see me. I go, but this is just this was just garbage. But my phone has gotten out. My personal phone number has gotten out and about, and I get about a call a week,
Mm-hmm.
at least. I have 5 people trying to catfish me right now, and I just play along. I figure if I'm wasting their time, then I'm stopping them from wasting other people's time, or actually, getting on with people who would take advantage of them. There's a friend of mine. Her next door neighbor was a dentist, and he got taken for $100,000 through a investment scam.
crazy.
Damn.
Yeah. But yeah,
Well,
like when he said that guy said the person he was talking to would not talk to him outside of I think it was OnlyFans. So
yeah.
basically, it was kind of a paid service. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're just playing him, and that's
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah. I felt bad because it was kind of like we as a community had to be the bearers of bad news to say if this person won't talk to you outside of the paid platform, then I think they're just giving you like the boyfriend experience versus like really actually wanting to make some connection with you. And
Yeah,
there's a phrase that goes around the internet, and I don't really think it's true all the time, but people say like if he wanted to, he would. And sometimes I think that's true. It's like in this circumstance, if this woman really wanted to have a relationship with this person, they would. They would move it off of the paid platform and whatever. But I am worried about the people that you're talking to, because who knows? I don't know. I'm not like super. I don't have like in-depth knowledge of. I should have a better knowledge of internet like safety and security with stuff like that. But if you're even like in conversation with people, it makes me nervous.
No, I don't give them any private information. Everything that if I talk to them, it's some stuff that's already known. But the dangerous ones are primarily coming out of Asia.
Yeah.
And they come across as a wrong number. And they'll say, well, isn't this so-and-so? I says, no, you got the wrong number. And so, oh, I'm sorry to bother you. I said, oh, no bother. Oh, you sound so nice. Can you send me your picture? I'll send them my picture. They'll tell me how handsome I am. And then they want to steer me over to either Telegram, typically, or WhatsApp. Because the person who makes first contact is basically, they are what I call the hook. They're going out and checking to see who will be interested. See, basically people who won't tell them to go just, fuck off right away. And then they hand me over to the person who's playing the game. And they'll just, they'll chat. They want to know what I like to do. And but then it usually just degrades down to, these meaningless morning and evening platitudes. And then they start showing me, the things they've gotten off their investments. And they'll show me these made up category stuff. But part of the dangerous part of this is that they have a woman that on their crew who feeds them selfies, who feeds them all sorts. That they will I've even had video chats with them, because most catfish will not video chat, but these people will for a few minutes. And also by sending fresh images, you can't do a reverse image search on them. But I've got 5 of them going right now. I had 6, but they were pushing the investment scam, and that's when I finally called them out. And I like tipping them off.
I'm glad that you have a good attitude about it, and I don't know if you should be in video chats with them. I feel like it's sort of like I remember in my early days of using the internet, it was like, don't even open an email if you think that a scammer might be from a scammer, because you just don't know what they have like hyperlinked or whatever. Like, you don't know what you're clicking on that might give your it used to be like that would give your computer a virus, but they're trying to steal all of your information. And even if you're sending them a picture or you're video chatting, there could be any identifying information that is like behind you or that you're wearing or anything that can make it easier for them to take information from you. So I feel like
I'm very careful about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, as long as you're being careful, then just keep eyes on swivel. It makes me nervous, Brent.
Oh yeah. I do understand, but part of this is I'm autistic, and I've been masking since I was 5. So basically, I just put a different mask for them. So I'm 64 divorce. I'm their freaking poster child. I am like right in the category who they target. So they think I'm naive, but I've been playing with computers since the early 80s. I've been chatting online since the late 80s. So
wow.
I'm not naive, and I'm very careful about what information I do share.
Okay. Well, as long as you're being careful, I appreciate you sharing this whole story, and yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't think so. But
okay.
Yeah, that should be it. And I'll do a shout out to the Council of Brents in the chat. They know who they are.
Okay. Okay, I'm sure that they do. I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for calling, Brent.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, that was so interesting.
I feel horrible for people who've lost like large amounts of money, especially I feel like I see that a decent amount with older people, and it makes me sad.
Yes. It makes me so sad. It makes me worried. And I also, guys, we also have lines open, so get your calls in. But I also it just makes me nervous to think of anyone like entertaining those conversations, because especially if they're flirting with you, even if you think you're keeping your head above it, it just feels like at any moment in time they could ask you for one little piece of information. It's like, what if these people have literally all of the information that they need and they just need to know like one security question, and they're like, what's the name of your first dog? And then suddenly they're in your bank account. That's my nightmare.
Yeah, and I feel like scams are getting more and more intense and more believable. So yeah, they scare me for good reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we did a poll in the chat, and there were some people, the question was, is purity culture wrong? And there were some people who voted no. And they voted no, but I'm afraid of women, which is insane. But I would love for all of the people who are so brave in all of the Instagram comments and sometimes even in our chats and in our comments, if they would call in, that would be really wonderful, because we would love to talk to you. We're both so nice. So
yeah, we're both call in.
Exactly. And we have let's see what shows we have going on this week. What's today? Today's 27th. Okay, so tomorrow we have the Hang Up with Matt Dillahunty at 6 p.m. Then on Wednesday, we have TACIS at 2 p.m. with Ben and Josie. That'll be fun. And on Sunday, we have the Sunday show with Seth Andrews and Austin Archer. And then
that was last Sunday.
Oh, you're right. Oh, the way that the schedule is always stresses me out. I always read it wrong. Okay, so we don't have this Sunday yet. We don't know what's coming this Sunday. Okay, well,
correct.
We know the next couple of days. Okay, wonderful. We'll figure it out. Okay, well, while we wait for people to call in, we have a little time. So, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? What do you like to talk about when people call in? Like, what are your favorite calls to take?
I do like to talk about purity culture a lot, and I feel like that's obviously because women in those spaces get the worst of it, I feel like. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when I talk about purity culture being harmful, there are a lot of people that they either are naive or act like it, where they're like, how could waiting and to have sex before marriage be bad? And I'm like, but there's so much more than just that. And then I also have people who genuinely feel like they had some kind, it was the right thing, and they're still living it, and they're confused as to why anyone would ever think that's harmful. I remember posting something about it a couple years ago, on my personal account, and there were multiple people confused about how it was harmful at all, and it kind of shocked me, because I even thought that a lot of current day Christians would kind of notice some of the more extreme stuff, how comparing women to objects and saying you're a smashed up piece of cake or whatever they say.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of surprising how many people don't realize everything that comes with that, especially the I don't even know if I can say that on here, how it protects people who would essay or victim blaming and stuff like that, the most serious stuff. So yeah.
I think part of it is that because people assume purity culture, it's well, how could that be harmful? You're just telling people to wait. It's it just doesn't, it feels like this very positive thing when you're just presenting it as you're just going to wait till you get married. And it's that's not the part I'm talking about. If people want to wait until they're married, then hell yeah. If that's what you want to do, you are so welcome to do that. And I'm happy for you in doing that. But The problem is it comes with the smashed up cake analogies, and it comes with all of this shame. And there's a lot of stuff that's not really explained enough. Like, there's nothing wrong with masturbating every single, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. I think I am. Every single day, multiple times a day, if you want to, if that feels good to you and you're not hurting yourself and you're not taking away from the things that you have to do in your day, then by all means, that's what you should do. And it's good for your brain and it makes you feel good and whatever. But it's like that, even if that's not explicitly addressed when you're talking about purity culture and the way that like sexuality is treated in that, I get questions about how, like, if it's okay that I'm masturbating every day. I get questions like that all the time. And I'm always sort of like, why would it not be okay?
Right, and I feel like when you're raised in it or whatever, it just makes sense in your mind where you're like, oh, you shouldn't do X, Y, and Z. But then when you're outside of it, you're like, why would a god care about an orgasm or sex or like whatever? It's very, very weird and almost like, I think it's like kind of perverted and weird. Like, why is that such a focus? It's just very bizarre. It's very bizarre,
really
especially like, yeah, once you're actually like out of it, you're like, wow, that's actually really freaking weird. Or like the purity balls people do with like their dads. I never did any of that, but that stuff is like extreme and disgusting.
Wait, what what do they do at a purity ball?
You like basically so I haven't done one, but I think you basically tell, like, your dad will give you like a promise ring a lot of times, and you'll like basically promise your virginity to your future husband or something like that. It's very bizarre, very weird, also very much like the men in your life own you, and you know what I mean? Like, you're passing permission through a parent. It's very weird. It's very, very weird.
So odd.
Yeah, it's
So
gross.
odd. There's a weird relationship with purity culture and like the dad relationship, like that stuff is
it's so weird. And I think it just
yuck.
I think it just comes back to the whole like viewing like the patriarchal like owning women and passing them to a man eventually. It's so, I don't think a lot of people realize that's what it is when it's happening, but yeah.
It's so weird. So insane. We have a caller, and it's an interesting topic. I'm gonna pull in Razor. That's a cool name. Razor, are you there?
Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Hello. What's up? What would you like to talk about today?
Okay, so as my little quick screening stated, I remembered I had been remembering a study that I heard about, and I looked into about when it comes to like bigotry. And when it comes to like bigotry, the largest perpetrators of it seem to be suburban white women. And I remember, if I'm wrong, I will be love to be corrected on this, but I just can't remember. I may be missing something. Sorry if it was sound in the back. But I wanted to, and I was like wondering what your thoughts on that was. What your thoughts on this was. And what the possible I'm sorry, I was trying to get the words together correctly because I don't want to make it sound off.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
Deep breath. Take your time.
So, I wanted to know what your thoughts on this was, and like, what do you think causes this weird disparity? Where do you think it's like possible that a mixture of purity culture and/or spousal abuse slash societal wrongs being done to women that causes them to, in a way, try and have a hierarchy with other minorities by pushing them down? If that makes sense.
I think so. I think, I don't know, the culture of suburban white women in this country has been kind of always pretty shit.
Yeah.
I haven't read that study, so I don't know exactly like what correlation they found, or like if they had any reasoning for it. But I wonder if it's a part of the whole white supremacy situation. People want other
Yep.
white people to be viewed as the best, most important people. And I think a part of it is also many times these are people who are likely in environments that have patriarchal dynamics, and probably even also some like kind of traditional purity culture vibes where they're being complicit with whatever their husband is saying, and he's the head of the household. And so there's gender roles coming into play there too. So I think there's like so many different pieces that come into play there, but we saw this with Trump getting elected recently, that so many white women voted for Trump and are responsible for him winning, and that is so it's such like a hard thing
It's
to
telling.
Yeah, it's really telling. I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought that much about like what it is about the suburban part of it all. I guess it's just like, it feels like, to me, it feels like money. It feels like a money thing. It feels like a status thing. It feels like I feel like in these suburban areas, these are people who are like close enough to being like the higher upper class of the United States, and so they're constantly trying to appeal to that group of people. So they're gonna vote for somebody. They're honestly, it just feels like bootlicker vibes. They are gonna try to appeal to the people that are going to like favor capitalism, that are gonna favor keeping this system in place, because they so badly are clawing towards whatever that community is, because they're like sitting just underneath it. That's my very like, I don't know, I guess anecdotal view of it. But Taylor, do you have any thoughts?
No, I agree with what you're saying. It's interesting to see that play out, especially right now with the current election. It's interesting how many women are, like white women especially, are willing to go against their own and like best interests, especially when it comes to women's rights and stuff. But I think a lot of them are in a like Christian marriage, I think. So I think there's this idea of what's it called, a united front, like with your husband. So I feel like if their husband's more likely to be Republican, then they're just gonna go along with what he says and vote the way that he votes, is what I imagine.
I came, it was like, when I was in the queue, I heard, I was able to catch the tail end of that the conversation you were having about the purity ball thing. I remember doing a little thing on a panel or podcast that I was part of for a little bit, where we spoke about those. And I feel like that definitely ties into, I feel like that ties into what I'm speaking about here, because any girl who did go through those, they always end up on one of two paths, either to that suburban white woman who might turn out to be the most bigoted creature or human for no reason other than to keep their quote unquote power, which I do feel like there's almost a psychological aspect to it, where it is legitimately just, I'm oppressed, but I don't want to feel oppressed, so I'll oppress someone else so that I feel like I still have power in a life that they no longer have, that they more than likely gave away to their fathers back in the day. That makes sense.
Yeah, I could see those two things tying in together. I think so much of, those people who did go to stuff like purity balls and stuff like that are definitely usually evangelical, and those are normally Christian nationalists. And I mean, Christian nationalism I mean, it's at its roots like about oppressing other people. So there's that as well. But yeah, that definitely ties in. Just those people typically being evangelical in general, I think is the biggest part.
Yeah, or just religious. Like there's very few religions, in my opinion, that have good outcomes. Even the ones that have a quote unquote good thing. I would say I'm very fully anti-religion to a severe degree, and it's hearing things about evangelical culture, Christian nationalist cultures, and Mormonism. The quote unquote nicest people you'll ever see with their beautiful smiles. They creep me out. But yes, I would probably I do think that I personally do think that there is a connection on that front. And I was wanting to know, like, what do you think we could do as a community to reach out to more women who felt like this, and even to their husbands, to get, because if we're being serious, it's more than likely that they won't listen if their husband is around. Do you feel like there's a way we could even get to them, or have them understand things, or maybe have them, turn over a new leaf, or at least think past their freshly knit lawn, what are they going to call it?
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, all I was going to say is I feel like pretty, like with how things are currently, I know this sounds negative and I don't want to be negative, but a lot of Christian nationalist type are also in a time period right now where they're basically denying a lot of reality, like a lot of conspiracy theory, like QAnon is also tied up into that. Like, I don't know, that leads to so many different things, like anti-vax, or just the one of many conspiracy theories. And I feel like it's harder now than ever to communicate with somebody like that, because it feels like they're living in a completely different reality than you. And it seems like they wouldn't want to actually question that unless, they decided to. So I don't know, that's a hard one for me.
It's also getting even...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. It's also there's also the aspect about something that Republicans have been pushing. That I started seeing Republicans push even more for some reason. The whole empathy, the sin of empathy that they've been doing, where they claim if you're empathetic towards another human, you're the devil.
That's insane. I haven't even seen that, which is not good, because I should. That means I'm really tuned out to the conversations they're having, and I try not to be, but that's the craziest shit I've ever heard.
I think there was a clip by, I forget his name. I think it's Walter Masterson. He goes to Trump rallies to troll them, make do little gags against them and stuff, show just how nuts they can end up being. And he spoke with a Moms of Liberty person who said that she hates schools because they're teaching children how to talk about their feelings and show empathy towards their fellow classmates and other people around them. And she said that was a bad thing, and that was like a year and a half ago. And I heard an actual state representative talk about the sin of empathy.
Yeah, and the whole
that's how far they've gone.
And the sin of empathy thing, it has been around for a while, but I feel like it maybe wasn't like a mainstream thing or talked about very much, but I feel like because of the rise of Christian nationalism, they have to do something to combat the fact that they are being very
unempathetic,
cruel, and not empathetic. So they kind of have to drive the point home more that empathy can be a bad thing, and I've seen it a lot lately, and yeah, it's definitely because of everything political going on, and it's unfortunate.
My partner states that we will need like the quote unquote progressive Christians. I While I don't agree with their stances, I at least agree with her the fact that at least they're willing to actually be cool with freedoms. If you're with freedoms, they'll still talk your ear off about, hey, follow God, but at least they're not Nazis.
Yeah, I 100% agree with.
I think those people who are progressive will also be able to bridge a little bit between the people who are not religious at all and the people who are really, because I was thinking about your initial question, which was how do we reach out to these like white suburban women? How do we get them a little bit like kind of caught up to speed or break through to them in any way? And I think the best thing that you can do is to try to get information to them as best as possible, but like you were saying, it's a lot of the time when I'm having conversations with people who are so deep into conservatism and like the MAGA spiral, they're operating from a completely different set of facts. And so you can talk about this stuff till you're blue in the face, but they don't care because they truly, genuinely don't believe that any of what you're saying is true. So I think those people, those like progressive Christians, are actually like instrumental in hopefully bringing some people across the line, or just like a little further away from the sin of empathy. Like that's the craziest shit I've ever heard.
When I first heard it, I actually screamed in my room. I was not okay. that hurt.
Yeah.
Like my entire way of living is all about being empathetic, towards my fellow man, woman, child. Like I cannot live with the idea of someone hating me personally, or not feeling good. Like I cry when I see someone else cry. That's my feelings. That's the empathy I have for people.
I got upset recently because my sister said on a TV show that a challenge was they had them eat a fried tarantula, and I got really upset thinking about how the tarantula was probably fried alive, and it made me so upset that I was like, I spent so much of my morning thinking about that. So like, you know what, in terms of the sin of empathy, in that way, I understand, because this is not a productive way to be. But empathy is what makes humans such a special species. Like we understand how to have compassion for each other and want to use that to build community and support each other. Like someone in the chat just said empathy is one of the greatest human capacities, and it takes work, and it does. And like we it's so frustrating to be in a moment where we're seeing so much of humanity and what we have created in humanity just regress. To look at empathy for others and think that that would be something that's not helpful, or I don't know. It's just such like a shocking thing to believe. And at the same time, it's kind of not, because it's the same kind of people where like I've had conversations with people who are conservative that really, truly, fully believe, and this is not shocking, this is like pretty standard for them, that if you work 40 hours a week on minimum wage, that you should not be able to afford a roof over your head and food in your stomach. They don't believe that that's true. Like that is a lack of empathy. You don't believe that people need health care. You don't like that. And if they have any of the things that make their life stable and easy and sustainable, that it should only come at the cost of suffering. Like unless you're suffering for it and you're working so hard that it's a struggle, then you're not doing enough. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking? What even is this? Like this is literally a hellscape that they created. It's just, it makes no sense.
I myself work at least 60 hours, at least 6 days, close to 60 hours a week because of how my schedule can end up going. And it's painful. The amount of times I'm screaming at the end of the day about the fact that we have an entire world where they do have that thought process upsets me, because if the roles were reversed and the person who was against me having health care got hurt, I'm always thinking like I want the best for them. But then if I bring that up to someone like that, they just go, "Well, you're a pansy for it," and I'm like, I don't get it. I just want the world to love.
I think you're muted.
I don't know.
Oh, I am. No, I was muted. I was muted and talking.
Oh.
No, but you're right. And also, like, whatever. If the worst thing that they can call you is a pansy, okay. Like, for the people who are conservative and like
that's the nicest one I could think of.
Yeah, but like for people who are conservative and like MAGA and whatever, okay, like you can call me a pansy, you can call me whatever stupid thing you want to call me. You're literally a racist. You are literally bigot. Like you actually don't care about other human beings, and you are incapable of a critical thought, because at the same time you're going to call yourself a Christian. What are we talking about?
That's always been my biggest pet peeve. Like small thing. No, my girlfriend's gonna hate it when she listens back to this, but it's very good to know this. Her mother has the whole like that when I'm talking about that whole sort of empathy thing. This is something that we constantly do with our parents and grandparents, because they're within the generation that a lot of the Republican Party leaders are, and a lot of what the the populace that they go after, the elderly and angry at the world type of thing. We usually do ask questions to our parents about this to understand, because they're basically laymen. They don't listen to politics and stuff like that at all. And if the most they do is watch the news and then then sometimes make bad points. And the thing that my girl's mom has done is the moment because my girlfriend will always like try and have a conversation with her about it to show her like, hey, this is people getting hurt. She literally does shut down. Like, she doesn't want to talk about it, but at all. Like, if she's like, hey, these people are getting hurt, this is bad, right? And she, I don't want to talk about it, or why are you? And this is the one that really upsets me the most, is the why are you attacking me? And I think that's what a lot of Republicans are doing whenever you bring up these people are in pain, and they go, why are you attacking me?
Right. Yeah. So. It's human beings in general are not very good at taking responsibility for their actions. Like, it's hard for us to take responsibility and accept where, like, it's something I think as adults we all get to practice, because for so long when we're kids, when we're told to accept responsibility for something, it's in the scope of like a parent or something, someone who's trying to reprimand you. And when you're an adult and someone's trying to hold you responsible for something, it's more likely because like, hey, this is a behavior that I didn't like and I think that you deserve to know. And people meet that with a lot of defensive-ness. And so especially with something like this, like, I'm not surprised. It's just classic.
I just wish.
Me too. It's going to be a slow and steady situation, and you'll just have to keep working on it in whatever way you can. But we actually have a whole bunch of calls that just came through, so I want to make sure we get to some of these other ones. But I appreciate you calling in, Razor. It was really nice to talk to you, and you can call back anytime.
Hey, wonderful. Y'all have a good one, and remember, Line has a podcast. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye. Oh, that was really funny. That was such a lovely call.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so we have some, oh, one of them just dropped that I was going to take. That's okay. Okay, so let's pull in Maureen. She's calling from Canada. Maureen.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Fine. How are you guys?
Good.
Good, we're hanging.
Okay, this sort of ties into your purity thing. I grew up Catholic.
Mhm.
So, of course, you're taught not to have sex before you get married.
Mhm.
And yet, as you grow a little older and everybody you know is having sex, and I'm thinking I'm the good Catholic girl, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
But then you get a little older and you don't have a relationship and you're figuring out that you're missing out on something. So then you decide maybe it's not so bad to have sex. So religion, played a real part in delaying my wanting to have sex. And I think when I started having relationships, I didn't have a lot of good sex. It's a lot of relationships. And I found myself starting to go from relationship to relationship. And I don't know if that's what I was just looking for. And now at my age, I'm not looking for the sex. And I'm wondering if, I should just be right up front about whoever I end up dating, like right off the bat, So it's
like to share that you're not super interested in sex, like you're not very sexually driven.
Yeah. I mean, I found myself because I wasn't having very good relationships with sex that you could please yourself, and that didn't become as important in the relationship. And I found I wanted more in a relationship than that, so it went on a back burner for me. And now at this point, it's like, yeah, if it happens, it happens, but it's not something that I'm looking for. So,
well, I think I'm always going to recommend that people communicate as much as they can, because I think it's important for whoever it is that you're dating that they understand where you're at in your sexuality. But I also think it's important for you to kind of leave the door open in terms of possibilities with your sexuality, because even if you have a conversation where you say, this is like not really a priority to me, not totally on the table, I'm looking for partnership and companionship, but I would encourage you to be open, because it sounds like your relationship to sexuality is one that could use a second look. Like, I'm not surprised that you feel sort of like disenchanted with the whole thing, but that doesn't mean that there isn't possibility for you to explore what sexuality might be like in a more loving and secure environment. And you have the potential to rewrite what that means for you. And there are plenty of people who are happy to be in partnership, in relationships with people who are warm and interesting and smart and compassionate, and the sexuality part is just like not really the main focal point. So you can find that, and I think being upfront with communicating how you feel about your sexuality is important. And yeah, just leave the door open a little bit if you can, and explore. Like, even reach out to me too, and I can help you dig into what's going on with the way that you feel about your sexuality. And also, the brain does something really interesting when we are aroused, and when they map the brain in arousal, it is an altered state of mind, similar to when we're sleep dreaming, daydreaming, on psychedelics. Like, it's obviously not to like the degree of a psychedelic drug, but it does enter an altered state of mind. And so when we're in this aroused state, we're able to be more open, be more involved, explore intimacy in a different way than you would if you're just like sitting here and thinking about sex. You're like, the context of it is like completely out of place and your brain has a hard time really embracing it. And so if you're willing to be open with your sexuality and intimacy, there's a world where you could find a partner who's able to make you feel safe and seen, that is able to provide foreplay, typically for vulva owners. Foreplay of 20 minutes or more is recommended to get your brain into an arousal state. And once you reach that arousal state, you'd be surprised what you might be willing to try and explore again. It's also possible that won't happen, but there's a lot. Sexuality is really interesting and there's a lot there. So anyway, I just like yapped for so long. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. There's another thing that happened where I did have one relationship that was really good with sex, but he was married and he was never going to leave. And I had this thing about, well, he's never going to really commit to me, and just having this good sex wasn't going to be enough for me. So I think in a way that kind of like did it too. I'm going like, okay, I can have good sex with somebody, but there was something more there that I wanted, and he wasn't going to commit to me, and I wasn't going to break up a family. So it's like, okay, right. So I know I can do it. It's just, it makes you kind of gun shy, I guess I want to say. It makes you go, yeah, this isn't what I'm going to look for. So maybe I'm going to look for a relationship without it. I mean, I think that's kind of where I got. I think.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. So that's hard. And I think that's another thing that comes from your religion, you know, that's just, don't commit a sin, you know, don't do that. You can't do that. But just on the social part of it, he was a man with 5 kids, for God's sakes. I wasn't going to break up a family. It just didn't seem right. Yet, you know, I was getting something there that I wanted. And then it just finally at the end, it was going like, nah, this isn't going anywhere. So, yeah, I've just kind of had some bad relationships, I guess. I know part of that's me because I'm pretty judgmental. I can be. And I find myself having a problem with that, trying not to be so judgmental, trying to give people a chance to show me who they are. And I find that kind of hard to do. So,
yeah,
you know,
I think that especially if you grew up in a very religious upbringing, like one thing that Christians love to do, boy, do they love to judge. Boy, do they love to pass judgment on other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, you could give yourself grace with that. It's, you know, you're learning and unraveling a lot of stuff. But I also think, it might be an interesting, a kind of experiment for you to be able to go on as many dates with different people that you are even like a hair interested in, and just see what new people that are outside of the norm of the people that you've historically dated, see what those dates are like. And you can also express to people that you have a rule of, sex is not even on the table for the first 3 months of the relationship. And in that period of time, 3 months is a pretty substantial period of time. If you see that person often enough, then you can actually gauge, okay, if in that by the end, you know, the 3 months is kind of coming to an end and you're still feeling like, okay, this person and I have a lot in common and they make me feel good, and I feel acknowledged and I feel heard, whatever it is that you're looking for from this relationship. And then you can assess the situation and see if then at that point you want to explore anything else. There are some people that I know who have a rule of they don't kiss for the first 3 dates. There's lots of little sort of like markers and rules. Sounds boring, but boundaries, I don't know, that you can set up for yourself so that you give yourself a little bit of like because it feels like there may be also an issue of like you're not trusting your own decision making in this, and that's a good way to build up trust with yourself. Make little goals and like little goalposts along the way of like, I'm not gonna kiss someone for the first 3 dates, and I'm gonna communicate that I'm not going to have anything sexual even on the table for the first 3 months, and start to build up the trust that you have with yourself and explore. Go on first dates if you want to. Go on lots of first dates, meet new people, and also be wary of people who are, like a guy who is married with children and is not going to leave his wife but is having an affair. It's like, I don't trust that he's making good empathetic decisions. Back to empathy again. I don't trust that he's making good and empathetic decisions, and like that's not a person that you want to start anything serious with anyway. Even if he left his wife, there'd have to be a really serious conversation about how this started as an affair, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and that it was funny because it was started out as such a great relationship for me, and if it wasn't for the wife and the kids, it probably would have went somewhere. But yeah, so yeah, I find myself questioning my judgment all the time. So. But that's good advice to give myself a few, set a few goals to give myself a chance to like get into something before I, start worrying about shit that doesn't even, hasn't even come up yet. Like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I'm curious too, Skeptical Heretic. Do you have any thoughts on how being in religious like environments affects your ability to trust yourself? Because I feel like that it cannot be a unique experience. It's not.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest like teachings is that we're naturally like wicked or sinful, and to completely not trust yourself and basically fight against your own nature, even though our intuition and stuff could really help us. I think that impacts almost every single part of your life. If you're indoctrinated to believe to not trust yourself and that you're inherently bad, it's very damaging, I think.
Yeah, that's a big thing because you're being brought up telling you don't commit sins. You can't do that. And then if you do something, and then you start, well, is that a sin or is that not a sin? So then you start questioning yourself. And was I told everything was just a lie? And I mean, it took a lot of years for me to become an atheist. I mean, I'm an older person now, and so I guess that was always there. And I find it something that probably did screw around with my judgment and say, have you committed sins? Are you a bad person? Or no, you're not a bad person. You're a good person. And so they weren't sins. So it just mixes you all up. And yeah, religion has a lot to answer for. That's for sure. Anyway, thank you guys for listening and giving me some advice there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And Maureen, really, if you want to email me, my email is alyssalljub@gmail.com. It's very easy.
Okay.
And I'd love to help support you too in some of this in any way that I can, because I think there's lots to dig into there, and you're so like warm and wanting to explore it that I think it would be really impactful for you.
Okay, well, thank you. I will do that. Thanks a lot.
Yay. Thank you, Maureen. Have a good night.
You too. Bye. Thanks a lot. Bye.
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 Okay. Maureen is actually like in the chats all the time, and I didn't realize that that's Maureen from the chats. So that was cool. I love when people who are in our chats are like they actually call in, and I'm like, oh my God. It's like
that's
meeting
really
your
cool.
pen pal. Yeah. It's like meeting your pen pals in real life. It's like, wow.
She's really nice and very open.
Yeah, for sure. And it's tough because, like, in general, I think another like big adult lesson for me has been learning to trust myself. And I think a part of that is related to, you know, my house wasn't fundamentalist, but it was religious enough where it's like it's small things. Like when we lose something in my house, my mom still prays to Saint Anthony. Like, what are you talking about? And it's like, or we sit and we think, where's the last place that I saw that whatever. It's like stuff like that where like you put all of your faith into these things that you are just assuming are just going to solve it all for you. And in reality, like you are fully capable of simply remembering where you left the whatever it is you're looking for type of thing.
Right. Yeah. And like she said, she's been, out of Christianity for a while, I think she said. That stuff has, like, I feel subconscious impacts for, like, the rest of your life, whether you really like it or not, especially around shame and all of that. It's a really hard thing to completely get rid of. I think sometimes it's impossible to get rid of and more about, like, recognizing it and dealing with it, going from there.
Yeah. I only really learned about religious OCD since, like, being a co-host on the line. And I feel like that probably comes up for people more than they realize. And I feel like it's all sort of in that same world where, I don't know, like you're relying so much on this ideology to tell you who you are, to create all of these choices for you that like you literally can't see past it enough to be like, no, actually, I can trust myself to make choices on my own and it's going to be totally fine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry to ask this, but is my camera quality super bad right now?
You did get fuzzy out of nowhere.
I know, it's like all of a sudden just not working. I apologize, but yeah, I just want to make sure that was actually the case. A lot of technical difficulties tonight.
You kind of look like you would be in Twilight in some way. It's like a little blue and a little fuzzy.
I know, and my other ring light died literally like a while ago, and I don't know what's happening, but the good news is I'm working on getting an actual setup that'll be done in like a week because this situation is not working. So yeah, sorry for that.
It's so life-changing when you're able to actually get, like, I just recently I was doing these shows from my bed, and I would like set up a light, set up a little like lap desk, like a whole thing. It would take me so long to get set up, and then it would be like shaky, and who knows if it was just. And now I have an actual setup. Life-changing.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to let you guys know this isn't permanent. I'm definitely getting a better situation soon.
You literally and then no more Twilight. You did get much more clear all of a sudden though. So
okay,
we got that on our side. Okay, so we have 2 more calls, and I think we closed the lines for now. It's a very quiet night. We've had some very chill calls today, which is unfortunate. I was ready to argue. And no one wants to argue with us today. They all just want to be nice, and I love that.
I'm always ready to argue.
One thing about me, I'm always ready to argue. Really. Okay, let's pull in Ben into the call. Hi, Ben.
Hey.
How's it going?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I'll be bringing the argumentation either, but...
No, I'm happy to have nice conversations, too.
Yeah. But yeah, I've just been curious about something. I grew up as a Christian, so I bought into kind of purity culture pretty hardcore for the first, at least 18 years of my life. And so, one of the things that, I've been deconstructing that for a long time. I mean, it probably actually took longer than, not believing in God, I would say. But one of the things that I've kind of struggled to wrap my head around is kind of celebrating sexuality, but in a way that doesn't like sexually objectify people. So like, I mean, before, if I saw anyone with like revealing clothing or doing erotic dancing, I would just judge them super hardcore because of the purity culture. But then as I've kind of transitioned to be like, oh, people can do what they want, and, really celebrating, people being able to enjoy sexuality, enjoy everything. But I sometimes worry that in like doing that, of even just like acknowledging, oh, that person looks really sexy or something, that might be kind of objectifying them in a way that they wouldn't want. But yeah, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that.
Well, are the thoughts that you're having leaving your brain at all, or are they just in your brain?
Mostly in my brain.
Then I wouldn't worry too much. We can't really like be thought policing people, and you're allowed to have whatever kind of thoughts that you want to have, and you're not really like, I think it's important that you're having these conversations with yourself, because then you're checking in with like, what are my intentions in having this thought process. But it's also natural to see someone and be like, wow, look at that ass, like whatever, like that's fine. If it's staying in your brain, like it's really okay. And we had a caller a little while ago, this guy named Tide, and he was talking about how he's a virgin, and he wanted his partner to be a virgin, his future partner to be a virgin. And he was like, I'm deconstructing a lot, and I don't want to participate in purity culture, but I just have this feeling, and I can't let it go. I don't know why I feel this way, and like help, basically. And so I told him, and I think this is similar advice for you too. If you can, when you're having these moments where either you're feeling like you are wanting to be judgmental of like a way a person is dressed or a way that they're like presenting themselves, or you're feeling like appreciative of somebody that you find attractive, if you can ask yourself why and really get to like the bottom of the intention of, or the what's driving that feeling for you, sometimes it just gives you information that's helpful. Like if you see someone and you're feeling like, okay, that person is dressed in a way that's making me really uncomfortable and they should be wearing more, or whatever it is, being able to just be like, okay, why do I feel that way? Well, because they're wearing less than I've ever seen somebody wear in public, and it makes me feel weird. It's like, okay, why? Well, because I grew up in this environment that makes me feel like maybe they're not as worthy, or they are like slutty, or whatever it is, because of the way that they're dressed. And it's like, okay, why? Well, because actually the system that I was a part of benefited from people feeling like they needed to be controlled, whatever. Sometimes that line of thought and like the asking why and digging in just gives you more information. But I don't think that you need to drive yourself crazy thought policing. It's okay to be out and about and see people that you think are attractive and think to yourself that they are that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, what about also it's not keeping it in my brain, I guess, is, I mean, I don't know, right? Are there like certain considerations for that as well, of even just like, the cringy way that, sometimes people are like, oh, damn, like, that chick was so hot or something, like, like, I don't even know for sure why. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure I wrap my head around like what's good or bad about something like that, other than maybe the person feeling uncomfortable if they hear you say that, or I don't know, maybe back to like the sexual objectification type thing of like, maybe you're kind of communicating to the other person that you think of that person just as kind of someone to be looked at. That I don't really know.
I think it depends on the context of the situation. Like if you're with friends and you're going to just say like, "Oh, that person is so beautiful," it's, you know, I think that's fine. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say without the context of like a specific situation.
Mm.
But I don't know. Do you have any
Okay.
thoughts?
I feel like as long as you're not making them uncomfortable, it's like just the biggest thing is not like you can't always control your thoughts, and also I don't think anyone really well, obviously like Christianity does, but I think a lot of people don't expect people to, you know, be able to control every thought they have. I think just most women or people in general don't really care what you think to yourself. It's more about how you treat them or how you interact with them. And yeah, also like what you said, context, like, do they seem into you? Do they not? Is it the right place? Is it the right time? Type of deal.
Yeah, because I mean, of course, if it was like workplace, that would obviously be just completely inappropriate. That's like one of the most extreme examples of a bad context.
Right.
Yeah,
I would say that
no.
you seem like you
Oh, sorry,
know, though, the what the right context and what wouldn't be. So that's important and good, because some people don't know, or they do and they don't care, which is the biggest issue.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I was just curious because I mean, I at least think I'm mostly past the point where I would judge people for like wearing less than I was comfortable with before. Like now, it's more just like, oh, like you know, I really wanted, you know, kind of go against what I was doing before of you know, really judging someone like that, and maybe even making a comment of like, "Oh man, you what she's wearing." I mean, I don't think I ever said that, but like I might have been tempted to. And like now, it's like, you know, I almost I sometimes wish I could just be like, "Oh wow, you know, that person was, you know, incredible to someone," but like, yeah, I also don't want to be, you know, kind of moving the needle too far in the other direction, if that's possible. Or I don't know.
I think like if you're aware of this enough that you're calling in to talk about it, you probably are not going to overstep because you're trying to be cautious, and also just be open to feedback in the event that someone's like, "Hey, chill out." Know that it's like it's meant to keep, you know, hopefully that whoever it is that might be giving you that kind of feedback is wanting to just make sure that you're, you know, being your best and acting in your integrity and all of that stuff. But I remember even like the industry that I work in now is literally all about sex, all about like people being comfortable with their bodies. And I remember like first starting this kind of work, and there were so many moments where I had to really check in with myself about where I had to unlearn. Like there's one video, and I wish I could remember who it was, where this woman was being interviewed in New York City, and she was like, "I call myself a slut all the time, like because it doesn't matter how many people I'm sleeping with, and so I'm a slut, you're a slut, you're a slut, you're a slut. The word doesn't mean anything; it's made up." And I remember watching it, and my gut reaction was to be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this girl? That's so crazy. Why would you call yourself?" And then I really kind of sat with it, and I was like, what is that? Like, what is that resistance that I have? Because she's right. It is just a word. It's made up. What I call a slut and what someone else calls a slut are completely different things. So it's a word that like actually means nothing. Like it actually means nothing. The only thing it does is imply that I'm judging you based on some arbitrary rule that person made up that I have no access to about what they think I'm either wearing, or they assume that I've slept with a million people or whatever it is. And in reality, I could have slept with a million people, and it doesn't make me a bad person or a dirty person or whatever. And like, but that like line of thought took me so long to get to, because when you're so indoctrinated with the idea of like, sleeping with a lot of people means that you're not worthy. It means that you are dirty and sinful and whatever. And the word that is associated with that is slut. It's like that is, and then slut is a dirty, bad word, and that is full of shame, and it creates that like icky humiliation feeling in you. It's like this whole, all of it is like a lot to unravel, and you're unraveling it in like all of these little steps where it's like, okay, we've gotten to a point now where we're like, okay, I actually don't feel a lot of judgment for, or any judgment at all, for when people dress the way that they want to. People are welcome to dress the way that they want to. And yet, still, there are moments where, you know, you check in with yourself and you're like, am I having thoughts that are like a little bit, what's going on? So it's better that you're checking in with yourself and you're being cautious and honest and self-aware. Like, those are really, at the end of the day, I think that's what people want and need to feel safe around each other. It's like the self-awareness, it's the willingness to take feedback when you've done some, because you're not going to do everything perfectly every time. But if you're willing to take the feedback when someone's like, hey, that was inappropriate, amazing. Then you are leagues ahead of so many other people who are not willing to do that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Is there anything
that's pretty much all. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess I was about to answer, but yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Yeah, I just wanted to talk that through a little bit, just instead of just like thinking inside my head and having the thoughts swirl around without any like kind of sounding board, or I figured you also might just have a lot of stuff to say regarding that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you called with this, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are listening too that have, similar ideas and thoughts about things, and like, you're definitely not alone in this conversation.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess I'll let you get to the other callers, and yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye, Ben.
Bye.
Okay, let's take one more call. And this one is about the sin of empathy situation, which I think will be fun to dig into more, because I cannot fucking believe that's real. And apparently it's also a book. So, Daniel, sometimes I feel like an alien where I'm like, how did everyone know about this except me? Where have I been? Daniel, are you there?
I am here. Hi.
Hi, Daniel. How's it going?
I'm good, Alyssa. Hi, Skeptical Heretic. How are y'all doing?
Good.
We're good. We're good. Tell us more about what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so earlier in the show and in the chat, people were talking about this sin of empathy. Christians, they're not real Christians. They don't have empathy. And I disagree. I think that these empathy is a sin. Christians are real. I think they're the real deal. I think they're equally valid to progressive Christians. Like, people say Jesus wouldn't like people calling empathy a sin, but you remember where Jesus sends you if you don't love him? I think that's pretty metal. I don't think that. I think you said that you suggested maybe that it's up to progressive theists to kind of bridge that gap and say, hey, this is what's going on. But I disagree. I think that those, I guess you could call them MAGA Christians, I think that they would just dismiss them as being just the wrong flavor of Christian.
Yeah, I think that could definitely happen. And I know what you mean. Sometimes I go back and forth with a lot of things where I understand why some Christians say, they're not real Christians because they lack empathy, but I also understand how you would read something like the Bible and come out with this idea to not be very empathetic, considering a lot of things that happen in the Bible. I do feel like, though, the only people who would be more likely to get to the MAGA Christians are at least people who maybe go to their church and are part of their community, but are a little more empathetic or a little more progressive. But I do know what you mean by a lot of them just dismissing them as not Christian. But yeah, I definitely think with where we're at right now that it's important to take the like help and support from progressive Christians. At least that's how I feel, because I'm being very specific lately about, you know, the battles I pick and what's important. And I think right now, with how bad things are, it's important to kind of know who you can work with, at least on some fronts, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that, and I agree with aligning with progressive Christians on kind of the legal front. One of the pages I like is a friend of Promises, actually, April Ajoy, I think. She makes really good content, and she's really funny, and obviously she's a Christian. But I think that allyship is on the legal front. I don't think it's on the theological front. I don't think April, as great as she is going to convince any MAGA Christians that their theology is wrong, and convince them that way. I think, I mean, I don't mean to be crude here, but when I see that guy in Texas talking about like the 10 Commandments and stuff and what a good Christian is, I roll my eyes, because nobody who disagrees with him is going to trust what he thinks about their theology. I think the allyship there comes with the united effort against fascism and Christian nationalism.
Mm-hmm. So do you feel like there is any way to reach that group of people? Like, is there any hope to?
Well, yeah. I guess it's separate though. Like I would say that the way that you talk a MAGA Christian is the same way you would talk down a MAGA. So maybe it's like personal experience with, like, if they have prejudices against a certain group, maybe they need to experience something with that group. You know, when I was a kid, I had a lesbian cousin, and it was funny because my parents taught me that being gay was bad, but for some reason our lesbian cousin was okay, and she was going to go to heaven. and so I think that's part of it. I guess I don't know. I would assume it's the same way you talk down anyone who's kind of bought into the Fox News thing, and I'm afraid to say, like, after a certain age, I'm not sure if they can be reached.
Yeah. Well, I think there's something that happens where, as people get older, they just have decided that they've made up their minds and actually are unable and unwilling to accept anything else than what they already know. I don't know. Do they just feel like so tired that they can't take on a critical thought? What is that?
I feel like it's also probably because their life is so ingrained around it, like marriage and family, and that changing your whole belief system at that point sounds terrifying.
Yeah, so you may not remember, Alyssa, but I called in several months ago. Actually, you and Promise were on the show. I was talking to my mom a lot about women's issues specifically, and we had this conversation that lasted over an hour, and she gave up a lot of ground on abortion. And I thought I was really making a headway with her, but like a week later, she had gone back on everything. She'd reneged on every position, and so I tend not to trust when I think I've made progress with them, because I feel like when you talk to a theist, just a pure theist, and they give you an argument for theism, at the very least, it's an argument that they believe is convincing. It's not the same with MAGAs, and it's definitely not the same with MAGA Christians. So it's like, I feel like I'm arguing with a facade, for starters, and I think it's a very poisonous companion, right, to have that theology and that MAGA Christianity together.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I really do think it's such a, and I don't know if special is the right word, but such a unique thing that people are dealing with right now, especially in families, is feeling like they're not living in the same reality as you. And that's different than just disagreeing with them. It feels a lot harder to get some common ground, at least, or agree on really anything. That stuff is really hard. And I am somebody who grew up evangelical, and when I was like in my early 20s, I considered myself a Republican. And the only thing that changed my mind was me talking to different people, kind of like what you said, like about your cousin who's a lesbian. Like, I was surrounded by different people who I had never been surrounded by before. And I think a lot of the Christian nationalists are in areas where they're just surrounded by people who are like them. So they don't have to really challenge any of their ideas or belief systems because they're so comfortable in where they are now. Nothing challenges that. So that's, I think, a really big problem with the whole thing, and why it might be very difficult for them to change their minds about it, because why would they if they're in such a comfortable position?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And if I could just clarify real quick, earlier I said that there's a chat here. All people's beliefs are those they think are convincing. That's what belief is. I'm talking about when they present an argument. I don't think they actually believe that argument is convincing. For instance, you remember how MAGAs were really angry with Hillary Clinton's email scam.
Yeah.
But she wasn't like that wasn't really something they were concerned about, or else they would be concerned about, Trump and Musk basically selling the government to the lowest bidder. It was a temporary argument, a temporary belief that they put on the facade that they believed, just so that they could argue with people. So that's what I mean.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of some of those arguments and those stances always fall, they fall flat when you try to have any sort of back and forth or ask questions about why they believe the things that they believe. And they fall flat because they just heard it on Fox News, and then they're just regurgitating it, because I think there's something about those the Conservative Party being super into capitalism, being super into religion. They feel like shields to me, and I don't know if it's tied into people whatever. There's the whole thing about bleeding heart liberals and whatever, all that crap. And the sin of empathy now is being a part of this too. So these other ideologies just feel like shields. They're shields where they don't have to worry about anything aside from themselves, like them and their family, and the people that are closest to them are their main priority. Everyone else is the enemy, and fuck them. And then they're able to keep this ideology as a really strong barrier, so that when you even try and have a conversation where you're okay, well, why do you believe that? How does that tie into the rest of your values? How is it possible that you are a person who is allegedly a loving Christian, but you refuse to give people universal health care? How can those things coexist? And they can't give you a real answer that is consistent with their entire belief system, because I think you're right to some degree. I don't really think that they believe it. I think it's a shield. I think it makes them feel good and powerful, and it makes them feel. I think that there's I feel like I've probably talked about this before, but I'm the second generation born in the U.S., but my family is largely immigrants. And so I think that they all also had this feeling of I need to be the most American. I need to love capitalism. I need to fight really hard for this. I need to be Republican because that feels most American. And it's this patriotism that is really important to them. And it was a part of their whole journey, being immigrants. And I wonder like how that ideology of like being Republican is the most American, being conservative, being a huge fan of capitalism, like these are things that are so uniquely American. And so they just, I don't know, they use it as a weird shield.
I like that analogy a lot. And actually, I have the exact same experience. I'm also second generation. My dad immigrated, and that's exactly what happened to him. He went all the way to the right. I joked to him, and I said, "Oh, well, you got in, and now you're trying to prevent anyone else from getting in." And he jokingly, but he said, "Yeah." So
Yeah.
that was. But I like your analogy about the shield. What I've been saying is, like, I don't believe this, but you can't prove that I don't believe this. But a shield is a lot more apt. It's a lot more simple. I like that. I'm gonna steal it.
Yeah, you could definitely steal it. And it is like it's always the climbing the ladder and then burning it below you type of thing. We love that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to have such a downer topic to call in on, but that's generally the vibe I get when I see this. I guess to bring it full circle, like I like progressive Christians and I like these people fighting against it. I don't think convincing them that they're, no true Scotsman Christians. I don't think that's gonna work.
Yeah, I can definitely understand your thoughts on that because I have a lot of complex feelings when it comes to, I guess, how we even reach them in general. It's really difficult right now, which doesn't sound positive, but that's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for calling and keep us updated on the chats that you have with your mom and the people around you. It's tough, but you're kind of like fighting the good fight and doing the best that you can. Like really the best thing I think we can do is speak to the people who are closest to us, which is what you're doing. Like that's really kind of the only shot we have because I think if we're trying to reach the masses of people, I think you're right. It's like kind of useless. I don't think it's going to go very well, but someone who's in your family, like for as long as it feels like it's like emotionally and mentally safe for you to have those conversations, I think it's worth having them from time to time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you and the work that you both do. It's very valuable, and it's what's keeping me sane.
Oh, good. Thank you. That's really nice. Well, have a great night, Daniel. Call back anytime.
Night.
Good night.
Bye.
All right. That's so funny that his family is the second generation, or he's a second generation born in the US, and they're the same. It's like I'm sure that's documented somewhere. We can't be alone in having that experience, but let me see. Someone said though Alyssa is also from New York, home of the Rockefeller Republicans, who nowadays would be mainstream Democrats. Yeah, that's true. That's the other thing. Well, but that's the thing. Is it actually has nothing to do with the ideology? It's about being labeled as a Republican. That for some reason that I actually feel like someone else could probably explain to me. For some reason, being a Republican feels more American, at least to like that part of my family, that older generation. What is that?
Yeah, I feel like they've also been seen as the party that supports our troops and veterans and stuff, even though right now that's like the opposite. But I think it's maybe because we also don't criticize our military much or like what we do as far as like wars or doing stuff overseas. And I think criticizing America is seen as like or not patriotic in some ways. So I think that has a lot to do with it. They like Republicans seem to have blind allegiance to the idea of America and like all of it.
Yeah, there's a podcast that I can't remember what it's called now. I'll just see if I could find it. There's a podcast I found where it's a brother and sister who are talking to their mom and dad. Have you seen this?
Yeah, it's called The Necessary Conversation, I think.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And there was a clip, the clip that, like, this is the clip that I found them from. I guess it was going, I don't know if it was going viral, but it was picking up lots of views. And it was their mom saying, like, well, if you don't like it here, then you can leave. And I think their daughter had said, do you believe that you can't, like, criticize your government at all? And the both of them were just kind of like, no, if you live here, then that's what it is. And I was like, that's so scary.
Yeah, those conversations I've seen from him and his parents, it's so painful to watch, but like it's so real for so many people, especially when it comes to it kind of tearing families apart. I think it's something that a lot of people are dealing with, and we're watching some people transform into someone like we don't recognize, because he had some other conversations with them where they were talking about people dying, and his dad was like, cool, we need less bods or something. And I'm like, okay, so all of your empathy's out the window, so where's your humanity? Because when your humanity's gone, what do you connect with when it comes to having a relationship with them? It gets really scary and really sad and heartbreaking.
Yeah. And there was another one too where their mom said something crazy about, like, it was something about, like, God, I wish I could remember the context. But she was talking about, like, well, if that's what it is, that's what it is. And, like, people, actually, this was a different one, but in a similar vein, where their son asked the parents, do you believe that the government should provide clean water to their people?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the dad was
Yeah.
like, no. And then he was like, what? Actually, his wife was like, so then who's going to give them clean water? And he was like, well, he's like, I shouldn't have to pay for another place's clean water. The local government should be able to do that. And then they were saying, okay, well, if this is an impoverished area, or not, maybe impoverished is not the right word, but if this is an area that doesn't have a lot to give to taxes, and these aren't people who own their homes, maybe they're renters, whatever, that's not going to be enough money. So they need money from the federal government. And he literally was like, well, then they get to drink sludge. He literally said they get to drink sludge.
I wanted to say this earlier, but I didn't end up saying it. But I think also why it's kind of easy for them to have that kind of attitude is because a lot of evangelicalism romanticizes suffering. So it's like a lot of times they see suffering as necessary, serving a purpose, and like it needs to happen type thing. And I feel like if you aren't religious or a Christian, you understand that there's unnecessary suffering, and if we can alleviate unnecessary suffering, that's a good thing. But I think in their minds, all suffering is good in a way. It's pretty twisted.
Yeah. I literally just made a note because I'm remembering now, or I'm going to be like percolating on this thought of how suffering is such a big theme for people who are both religious and people who are conservative, that if you are not suffering to achieve whatever it is you're wanting to achieve, you're not worthy of gaining whatever the benefit is. Like, you're not worthy of whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's like a badge of honor or something. But it makes sense why they think that, because of things in the Bible where, like, I don't know, people went through all kinds of suffering and it was supposed to be part of God's plan. So kind of makes sense when I see it, but I think that's kind of the unfortunate part about fundamentalism is you believe all these stories actually happened, you believe all this suffering actually happened, and you believed it actually served a good purpose. So they're going to carry that thought process into other modern day things, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Well, shall we do some super chats?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. This has been such a calm show. It's like a cozy one. $9.99 from Daniel. I'm actually in the middle of a great online relationship. She tells me I can be my own boss. Got to spend money to make money. That I feel like I'm missing a joke in there. I'm in the middle of a great online relationship. I can't tell if I'm missing a joke or that's genuine and you're just in the middle of a really great online relationship.
That was the last caller.
Yeah, I remember Daniel. Anyway, Daniel, thank you for calling today. It was nice to be again, it always feels like I'm meeting my pen pals when people call. So I'm glad that you did, and I'm glad I realized later that was you. Thank you for calling.
$5 from Monkey at typewriter. Masturbating isn't totally safe. I actually did go temporary blind from it. Turns out you really got to point away from your vape.
Will.
Good to know.
Monkey at typewriter. That's crazy. $20 from Dante Verona. Me on Tuesdays. First, I watched Chewed Gum, a progressive show about equality for women. Then I watched the new episode of Handmaid's Tale about a Christian nationalist totalitarian. Why do I feel like I'm saying that wrong? Theocracy. Just yikes. Rough transition. Yeah, I'm sorry. And it's getting weirder every day because so many things in the Handmaid's Tale just don't really feel that far from what's happening in real life. Yeah.
It's a rough time to be a Handmaid's Tale fan.
Yeah.
$5 from Mystic Minds Analysis Tavern. Most of my Christian friends know the sin of empathy shtick is Bullock's empathy or no religion unite against fascism. Oh, empath, sorry. Yeah, I agree. I definitely am on the side of like working with progressive Christians. I don't think that'll change anytime soon.
Yeah. $5 from Sarah Talks Podcast. I want to suggest the music in Crash Bandicoot because Alyssa and Skeptical Heretic are the best bandicoots. Do you know about this? That we had a whole conversation about cartoon characters that we think are hot, and I said Crash Bandicoot.
Oh no, I think Promise did. Did you say Crash Bandicoot or did she?
I think I said Crash Bandicoot because I think the chat will like literally never let me live it down, and I stand by it still.
There's way worse ones. Like I've heard Spirit, like the horse from Spirit, and like Simba or something.
Simba is a popular one.
Yeah, I've seen some insane ones. Yours was not that bad.
Do you want to know my most unhinged one? Because it's not Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
My most unhinged one is by far Flick from A Bug's Life.
Oh no, he's cute. I can see it.
Okay.
This isn't really a hear me out, but I think I used to think Moses from like Prince of Egypt, because that's one of my favorite movies, was just so fine. Everyone in that movie was so fine, for no reason.
I want to know who is like animating these people, and if they made a conscious choice to make them like what did they do to be like, and this ant is gonna be hot? Like, how did they do that?
I think it's also character development and us loving that.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
I don't even... $10 for Mr. what?
Boricua 10. Mr. Boricua 10. This is one that Promise had to practice for many shows, many episodes.
Thanks for a very relaxed show. It added to my current state of mind. Glad to have caught the show. Keep on keeping on.
Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed a chill show. $5 from Empress Lizard. Thoughts on the woman who's brain dead but is being kept warm because she's pregnant and the fetus isn't viable yet. Abortion laws won't let the family bury her. Yeah, that is Adriana Smith, and I think it's horrifying. I think it's like the most dystopian thing that we've been doing. The craziest part of it. Sorry, go ahead. I cut you off.
Oh, no, I was just going to say it's some Handmaid's Tale shit like we were talking about.
I but what's the most crazy about it to me, because I made a reel about this, and then there were a lot of conversations that I was, like looking at in the comments, and a lot of people are talking about, obviously, well, what about the baby? The baby doesn't deserve to live, blah, blah, blah. That baby will likely not survive. Like, the chance of that baby surviving is really slim. So you're just keeping this person, like, so that argument is completely invalid. So what are we these people don't care. They just don't care, because it is so much more important to them to have control over the situation and feign concern for children. But then the second that kid is born, you don't want to give them proper education. You don't want to give them proper health care or child care. You don't want to support them in literally any other way. You just want this person to be born.
Is that still going on with that woman? Like, is that still current? Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to change. And then recently, I thought I saw something about how I don't even want to say that, because I think I saw that the family was maybe like changing their mind on if they wanted, like, what their wishes were. I'm not sure. It's just disturbing, really disturbing. And I think there is actually an episode of The Handmaid's Tale. I only watched a little bit of it because it was making me very upset. But I think there is actually a Handmaid's Tale episode where something like that happens, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's been like, I think that might have been in one of the earlier seasons that I barely remember. But yeah, I think this thing like literally did happen in the show, because I also heard people talking about it and it sounded familiar. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, insane. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
$5 from Jimnick06. 3 chatling callers tonight: Brent, Marine, and Daniel. Oh, chatling. Okay, fun fact. Daniel sings some mean karaoke skills.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Sorry, guys.
I didn't realize that Brent was also one of our chat friends too. Is that Brent? I think like Brent J maybe might be his name. I don't know. Brent, if you're still listening, let me
Brent
know.
H.
Oh, I love that. Brent H. Okay. Wow, I love that. All of my pen pals calling in. $5 from Donkey Butt, which is an insane and really hilarious name. Song rec, Ocean Avenue by Yellowcard. That whole album is so good. I used to love that song. I loved that album. It made, I don't know who, did you watch Laguna Beach at all? Like, was that a
no,
thing
but
for
I know
you?
exactly what it is. But my like older sister watched it, so I know of it. It
was like, me living in the Bronx, watching Laguna Beach and listening to Ocean Avenue, I was like, I'm there. I'm in Laguna Beach. Like, it just like, it's the perfect, like, beachy, like, Southern California vibe. Oh, it's just the best.
It definitely is. I feel like every millennial knows Ocean Avenue and probably knows all the words still.
Hell yeah. It's one of those songs where I think if you played it in the right bar, the whole, like, you would bring the house down. It would be so loud. It would be so loud.
$5 from Secular Felinist. Song rec, Drown in Ashes by Celtic Frost.
Oh, that sounds like the opposite of Ocean Avenue by Yellowcard.
Yeah, it does.
If I could put it on a playlist, though, I'll check it out. $5 from Firebird XX. Oh, okay. I'm glad you got this through, because he was having a hard time getting his super chat through. Okay. Why is it okay for men to be promiscuous but not women? Who are they having sex with otherwise? Yeah, I would like to know that also. It's just more patriarchy shit. And sometimes we've had people call this show before where we've had conversations specifically about this. And I will often get fed the line of bullshit that it's because men are hardwired to have sex with as many people as they want to first of all spread their seed, is one that I hear, and the other one is because they want to be able to women are not allowed to be able to sleep whoever they want to, and that is hardwired into our whatever, because we need to ensure paternity.
Yeah, I've heard that too, and I just feel like a lot of people just make up stuff. Like, I mean, like, all the time saying, like, you know, men are better leaders, or they're more logical or less emotional, that stuff is made up. Like, all of it's made up. So I don't know, I have to roll my eyes when people try to give me a biological explanation as to why it's okay.
Yeah, it's made up. Made up.
$5 for Monkey at typewriter. Jesus in the Bible is clearly not empathetic to atheists. Music, Iron and Wine. Shepherd's Dog for chill. Girl Talk. Feed the Animals for a bop. I'll definitely look at the bop.
Yeah. Iron and Wine is a really good band, and I'm going to be so honest, the reason that I know Iron and Wine is because they had a song on the Twilight soundtrack. This is the most I've gotten to mention.
Twilight.
Okay, I could tell because of your reaction to me saying that it was Twilight was like a positive one. But it was okay. This is only going to get more embarrassing for me because the song is called Flightless Bird American Mouth, I think, and it's their wedding song.
Oh,
it's the song that they dance to.
Yeah, no, I know what song. Like, I can hear it in my head, but I didn't know who it was by or anything. That's
and
funny.
Do you want to know what's crazy? The lyrics to that song are so insane that if I were to even like sing the song to you, I can't even say it. It's like so weird and it doesn't make any sense. Google the lyrics to that song later and you're going to be like, what the fuck is this song about? Because I've tried to figure out what that song is about. Oh, wait. Is it From Such Great Heights? No, From Such Great Heights is another great song too. But anyways.
And the woman who like wrote Twilight, isn't she like very Mormon?
Yes, I think she is. And she also apparently wrote that book as a fanfic. Like originally it was fanfic.
Yeah.
And then it like evolved into what it is now. I should have worn my Twilight shirt today. Damn. I didn't know. Well, next time whenever we get to do this. Oh, yes, it's the best. Like, I love wearing my Twilight shirt in public because for the people who give like a good reaction to it, I'm like, those are my people. Yeah. Those are my people.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. It's just the best. It's the best. I think this is me? Oh, this is me, I think. $9, $9.99 from Daniel. 0 sugar soda recommendations. I like Poppy, and I like it more than the Olipop one. I don't know if those are 0 sugar though. I think they're like lower sugar
really low.
Or something. Yeah, I don't drink a lot of soda, so I'm not sure.
I drink Coke Zero like it's my full-time job, so that's my recommendation. Unfortunately, I'm not proud of it, but I could be like injecting it straight into my veins and be happy. But I drink a lot of 0-calorie soda, and I like Canada Dry Zero, which is kind of random. Those are my two that I drink.
Oh, okay. I like a Diet Coke or like a Coke Zero. I do like those. They are really tasty. And my boyfriend drinks full sugar Coca-Cola all day long. Never seen anything like it. I'm like, how are you not? And then one time when we like first met, I was like, now that I think about it, it's actually kind of crazy that you don't have like a million cavities. And then he was like, what are you talking about? I have so many cavities. He's like, what he said was, he was like, how many teeth do humans have? And I was like, I don't know. Was it like 32 or something? And he was like, yeah, I have 32 cavities. I was like, oh my God.
That would give you so many cavities. Oh my God.
I know. I'm like, normal human beings are not meant to just drink Coca-Cola all day like that.
No, we're not. No. It's a problem. $5 from Bobby Kennyston? I don't know. Have missed most of the shows. Happy to see you two host together. Can you each say one thing you like about hosting with each other? Yeah, cute. I think you were a lot of fun to host with. And I also feel like you and Promise both make me feel so comfortable on this show because I get especially the first couple of times I was on, I was so freaking nervous. Like, I was so nervous. And now, like, I really like being on the show. It feels good.
Yay! Oh, I'm so glad. That's really nice. And I like hosting with you. This feels like we're in like The first aid,
like a
like
therapy
homeroom
session or
something.
something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But you bring a unique perspective, and Promise also has like the ex-evangelical thing, but she handles it in such a different way. Like you have such like a soft like way about you, and so your contribution to all of it is different and valuable and interesting. And also, you like
Okay.
Twilight, and that's something new that I learned. So
True. That's my best
really
trait.
exciting. Mine too. It's okay. $5 from Miss Boogalicious. Hilarious name. I work as a 3D artist and closely with animators. Can confirm all animators are horny. This is great news.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
It's
I
not
love
just
that.
us. It's not just us.
Thanks for letting us know the true secret.
Yeah.
$5
Yeah.
from Mr. Okay, how did you say this again?
Mr.
Borica?
Boricua 10. Yeah. We get you
Okay.
to roll your R's.
Oh, I need to practice that alone before I do that on here. Song for playlist Duke Dumont Ocean Drive Extended.
Okay.
Never heard of it.
More Ocean Drive, Ocean Avenue. Lovely. $4.99 from Juju Penguins. A brief moment of silence for being so sheltered I missed out on Ocean Ave nostalgia. Yellow card was devil music. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sometimes I'm shocked at the music I was allowed to listen to, and when I was in like elementary school, I was listening to Avril Lavigne. I don't know how I got away with that, but yeah, I was lucky.
That is really lucky, especially because she was sort of like punky, you know, like that's what she wanted to be. So I'm surprised.
Oh yeah, I was lucky.
That is lucky. Well, if you want to get in on the Ocean Ave nostalgia, I think you would be best served by watching Laguna Beach, the very first season of Laguna Beach. It'll play at some point in that season, and then you'll really feel the vibes.
Wait, was it my turn or your turn? I don't know.
Oh, I think it's my turn. $5 from DaCosta. Song recommendation, Beetlejuice by Yuri. It's Japanese on my morning playlist. Ooh, I love a morning playlist.
Wow, I don't have a morning playlist.
You gotta make one. And it depends on, there are different vibes for a morning playlist. Like, is this a chill morning playlist? Is this a, like, crackhead get the hell up vibe? Like, are we, like, you know, it's
right.
Really depends. Really depends.
I need to get $10 from Razor Sharp. Best recommendation for zero sugar soda, Dr. Pepper, all flavors. I know Dr. Pepper has some serious stands. I don't really like Dr. Pepper, but I know people would die for Dr. Pepper, so respect.
Respect. I do like a Dr. Pepper. I don't think I've ever like seen a zero sugar Dr. Pepper. I guess I only get Dr. Pepper at like a fountain soda situation. They never really have zero sugar.
People love the Dr. Pepper Zero.
Now I kind of want it. Now that sounds really tasty and good. $9.99 from Daniel. Song recommendation, Weirder on the new Cadis album, Promises Band. It's my favorite track on the album. I need to listen to the album. Do you ever have moments where you realize, like, I haven't listened to music in literally 2 weeks?
Yeah, and it's kind of depressing because I'll go through a phase of listening to only podcasts or like something like that, and then I'll be like, wow, I really need to force myself to incorporate music back in my life. But I like love music too. It's amazing. So I don't know why I go through those phases. But yeah, that happens.
I'm exactly the same, where like right now I'm in a podcast binging situation. And I haven't listened to music in weeks. And I'm exactly the same, where I'm like, I need to force myself, or I get to a point where I'm so overstimulated with like listening to people talk that I'm like, okay, maybe I need a song. I need something.
Yeah, I feel like that's our attention spans too. Well, at least for me it is. Like, I'm like, oh, I want to hear, someone talk about something, but I'm like, I can just chill for a second and listen to music. But sometimes it's hard.
Have you ever tried to just like do things in silence that you would normally do with a podcast or music on?
Yes.
Nothing makes me feel more incapable than being like, how about silence? And my every cell in my body is like white knuckling the experience. I'm like, this is crazy.
I know. It's rough. And I've tried to do it before in small doses and like work my way up. But that sounds pathetic on my end, but it is good. Good. It is good to be comfortable with silence, but it can be really hard.
It is.
$10 from President Starscream. Song recs were suggested for skeptical hair. Wait, what? Sorry, I'm used to people saying SH. That's not right. Super chats. I would like to propose this godless endeavor by Nevermore as the theme song for atheists in the U.S. feeling disenfranchised by the rise of ex-Christian nationalism. Or Christian nationalism. I have to write that one down. I feel like people... Yeah. I feel like people tell me all the time about songs that are like good deconstruction songs, and I feel like I rarely come across them, or like even, you know, ex-religious songs or whatever. So yeah,
I'm gonna put that down. Okay, $5 from Jamnik06. The artist for the Beetle Bailey comic strip had a nude drawing of Miss Buxley above his work desk. Wow, see? Horny animators. Well, not an animator, but yeah. Horny. Although I guess like when I think about like Jessica Rabbit is like the ultimate like horny cartoon.
No, yeah, for sure. $9.99 from Sid N. Sorry I missed the show, I agree with all your title that purity culture is harmful to women. As a cis man and atheist, what are some points or resources I can use to defend that assertion? So many.
I guess yeah, like depends on like where you want to go with it. But I don't know. I mean, there's so much there's so like many aspects to purity culture that like I think the biggest thing is any way where our freedom is being impede if any like how do I even word this? Any way that our freedom is being risked is going to make people less happy, less satisfied with their lives. Purity culture, even though it might not be a situation where like by law we prescribe to purity culture, when you are imposing beliefs like that and creating this like basically propaganda around women not sleeping with a lot of people and you know, prioritizing the nuclear family and all this other BS that comes with purity culture, you are creating a situation where the shame and the feeling of going against that standard is enough to impede on people's freedom of choice. And so that's really the whole thing. If you decide that like the values aligned, oh, the dogs might bark, that the values aligned with purity culture are what you want to prescribe to, by all means, like whatever. If that's what makes you happy, that's great. You made that choice. You had the freedom to make that choice. Do not make that choice for other people. And that's what purity culture, like as a structure, does. It takes away people's freedom of choice.
Right. One thing I like to bring up too is when, let's say, Christian schools or whatever teach abstinence only, it ends up having like, you know, physical impacts as far as like teenage pregnancy and STDs and stuff. So I feel like that's maybe something you could bring up as far as like real world effects that are, I guess, a little more obvious.
Yeah. Places that have comprehensive, medically accurate sex education, as opposed to abstinence only, are lower. They have lower rates of teenage pregnancy, lower rates of STIs, lower rates of sexual assault. So like it literally only benefits those communities. They also are safer for the LGBTQ communities there over long, like sustaining periods of time. And they also, places where the LGBTQ community feels safe are also places where other communities of like the youth in general also have been reported to feel safer as well. So like it just literally helps everyone be happier.
Right. I agree.
I don't remember if this is me or you.
I think it's you.
Okay. $5 from Bobby Keniston. The best deconstruction song is Losing My Religion. Just stand in the corner on the spotlight and bam, you lose your religion. Problem solved. Love it.
I have heard that song.
That's awesome. Thank you, Bobby.
$5 from Razor Sharp. Song recommendation on behalf of my partner, The Maybe Man by AJR. I feel like it's been a hot minute since I've heard AJR mentioned.
I don't know if I know who that is.
They had like, I feel like they had a phase of being super popular and being played everywhere, but now I don't remember what the songs were.
Wait, yeah. What song?
There was one in particular.
Yeah, right? What the heck was it? Someone in the chat will probably tell me, but maybe I'll find it on Spotify first. We'll see. AJR.
Oh, The Good Part was a big one. Where it's like, I don't even want to sing it. It's like some like,
are you gonna sing
The Good Part. You know
yes. Yes, that's the
that
one. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yes. Okay. Okay, yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for the suggestion.
You're muted, I think.
You're muted.
I am. Yeah, I am, because the dog was barking. Thank you so much for joining us. And Skeptical Heretic, thank you for joining Chewed Gum this week. This was so fun. You have to come back.
I know,
hopefully we'll get some more yes. They're always so brave everywhere else, except for when we want them to call. So the heck is that about?
They need
a dozen in chat that apparently didn't have time to call.
Yeah. My
I'm sure.
I'm sure. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you to our screeners and our producer Morgan, and also screener, and our mods. Oh, Bonnie. Let me grab Bonnie. I almost forgot. They like my dog Bonnie. She used to sit behind me when I would do this on the bed. So now I'm gonna go grab her so she can say hi. Hi, Bonnie. Come here, honey. Want to say hi to the friends? Okay. Okay, here she is, my old lady.
Aww.
Okay, here she is. Okay, bye, everyone. She's gonna go back to snowing. Yeah. Okay. Her breath stinks. Are we riding off into the sunset yet? I don't know. I guess not. I guess we get to just chat for a little while until we do.
How old is she?
Oh, there we are. She's 12.
Wow.
She's an old lady for real. I know.
Did you have her the whole time?
I got her when she was 4.
Okay, well that's still a really long time.
Yay, my old lady.